Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mind for Combat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at Weili Zhang and just who are the biggest threats to her in her division, to her championship reign. Now, before I get into the video, I'd just like to give a big shout out to Bradford Lad who gave me the recommendation for this, and I'll be doing this for all champions in the UFC and maybe outside the UFC as well. So looking at the Bellator champions, One Championship champions, all the champions, and saying just who are the biggest threats to their championship reign. I'd also like to note, Matthew Dixon, I have taken on your recommendation, which was to take a look at some of the past robberies and give my opinions on how those fights went. I've just been considering the logistics of that and how it's going to be displayed. I've been working with my editor who's been doing a great job, and we're just figuring out how to put that one together. With that said, I also like to note that I am changing up the format a bit. Now, this isn't a permanent change. It's just something I'm testing out for a couple of weeks to see how the videos perform, particularly in terms of engagement and getting the viewers to watch my video the whole way through. Now, I love you guys, and you guys that are my regulars will always watch my videos, and I really appreciate you guys. And I'll probably be going back to my original format because I like it a bit better and it feels a bit more personal. This is just testing it out for a couple of weeks. So guys, please bear with me while I'm testing this out. With that said, let's get into the video. So when you're looking at Weili Zhang and just who are her biggest threats, I suppose the obvious one is going to be her most recent opponent, which is Johanna Young, or Johanna Young, however you pronounce her name. Johanna and Weili Zhang had what was probably the greatest women's fight of all time, and in my opinion probably one of the greatest fights of all time regardless of genders. They put on an absolute showcase and a war. It was back and forth, bloody, gruesome. Johanna left with some scars to show for it. Her face was completely rearranged and it was absolutely incredible. One of the best fights I've ever seen. What I saw in that fight was that Johanna had tons and tons of skills to be able to win this fight, and if she was to come back into the rematch with a new game plan, she could most certainly win. The biggest thing that I took away from that fight was in the exchanges was that Weili Zhang had the more firepower, and that when she landed on Johanna, it had a much bigger impact than when it was the other way around. Now, that is something that can be altered with a game plan if Johanna was to use footwork and not plant her feet to stand for them trades. She might be able to manipulate her way to a victory with some footwork and a smart game plan. She's most certainly a legendary fighter as it stands already, and she's a hungry fighter till this day, despite the fact that she has won the world championship, defended it multiple times, fought for a world title in another weight class, and she's been around for so long, but she's still so motivated to be at the top of the game when it comes to this sport. And that means that Johanna Young will forever be a threat to her championship reign. And I am very interested to see how Johanna moves on from this. Now, I don't assume the rematch will be next, as there's going to be other contenders in the wake, and especially with everything playing out in the world right now, who knows what could happen. But if she is the next fight and it is an instant rematch, who knows? This could be an incredible fight. By the way, sorry if there's sirens. As always, sirens are pretty regular in my video. This is South London. But with that said, I have Johanna Young as one of the biggest threats to her. Moving on, next we have Tatiana Suarez. Now, she's kind of a forgotten commodity in the division. Tatiana Suarez is still only 29 years old, and she's only 8-0 as a mixed martial artist. But she's a big, strong fighter, and she is very dangerous. When looking at Tatiana, especially stylistically, when you're looking at her versus Zhang, she's 5'5", makes her an inch taller than Weili Zhang, and she has a 1-inch reach advantage. Now, obviously, she's not going to be getting into a striking matchup with Weili Zhang to win that, so she won't necessarily be able to exploit that reach advantage. But I would also venture she's about 10 to 20 pounds heavier than Weili Zhang, being that she is a wrestler, and for a while people were calling her Lady Habib because the way she mauled Carla Esparza. I believe that she could cause Weili Zhang some very big problems stylistically, and that's what makes that fight so appealing to me. I believe that Tatiana Suarez is a dangerous fighter with a developing game and has a skill set that could be really troublesome for Weili Zhang. Now, obviously, Tatiana Suarez lost a lot of luster in her last performance, but I believe that that's a performance that she can learn a lot from, take a lot from it, and move forward, and she could do really well. And I believe that her youth, her size, her style make her a very interesting stylistic matchup for Weili Zhang, and most certainly make her a huge threat to Weili Zhang and her championship reign. Moving on, we got who is, in my opinion, the biggest threat to Weili Zhang in the whole of the world right now, and that's none other than probably my favorite. I'm gonna admit this, maybe I'm a little bit biased, my favorite fighter competing at strawweight right now, and that is Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas is still only 27 years old, which makes her a couple years younger than Weili Zhang, who's still young herself at 29, but she's an inch taller and she has a 2-inch reach advantage. Now that's interesting, especially when you consider the fact that Rose Namajunas is a very, very talented striker. She was able to outstrike Johanna Young. Yes, she knocked her out in the first fight, but even in the second fight, she was able to outstrike her. She's very talented. When she's switched on and she's in that right mental frame, she is one of the best, if not the best fighters in the world. She's very talented. She's got smooth striking. She's very experienced. She's had championship fights. She's been a world champion. She's been there in the main event, and she is just so talented and capable. Not even to mention the fact that she's going to be the naturally bigger fighter, and she's got an incredible Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, a huge advantage that she's going to enjoy over Weili Zhang. If she can get this fight down, she may be able to submit Weili Zhang, and that's something that we can't take for granted because Rose is so talented. She's so young, she's still developing in her game. Yes, her record only stands at 8 wins and 4 losses, but you got to remember, this is a fighter who was 2-1 when they was fighting for the UFC World Championship. So when we're considering the biggest threat to Weili Zhang's championship reign, it will be foolish not to say that Rose is up there. In my opinion, she's number one because she's got a better striking game than Tatiana Suarez. We've already seen that she's better than Johanna Young. She's got an incredible ground game. She can exploit all of this to be able to get the win over Weili Zhang, and it will be very, very interesting to see how that fight plays out. In my opinion, Rose would be my favorite to win that fight. So therefore, my biggest threat for Weili Zhang coming into this fight, into this video that I'm doing, has to be Rose. Rose is a very talented and dangerous fighter, and I believe that she can really surprise a lot of people in a fight like this. Anyways, guys, why don't you guys comment below and let me know who you think are your biggest threats to Weili Zhang and her championship reign. Let me know what you thought about the video. Let me know if you're enjoying the format change and seeing the difference, or if you guys want to see my ugly face back in the videos. But I'm going to be coming my ugly face back into the videos anyway. We're just testing something out, so bear with me while we test it out. Let me know your thoughts on the video. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, I'm Rohan, and this is Mind for Combat.